Welcome back. Now that you know how the roads are looking, let's get straight into our newspaper review this morning. We look at the front pages of each of the papers and then get to my panel as we look at the big stories of the day. As usual, start off with the front page of the People Daily. Police probe Ruto threats against Mutua. Machakos governor records statement accusing DP, Dwale and Murkomen of warning him of dire consequences, but Jubilee bigwigs dismiss allegations as cheap publicity stunts. That's a story that has been trending for the better part of yesterday as well. Front page of the Standard. The wars in Uhuru and Raila parties. The handshake thawed tensions between the president and opposition leader, but stoked fiery internal rivalries between the loyalists within those parties themselves. As you can see, the contentious issues between ODM members and Jubilee members. Kenyatta and Ruto allies split over BBI and what it means in vicious battle for control of the party. While at ODM, leaders split over the Secretariat and Elections Board, which are accused of operating like cartels. That's a story that you can get, and it's a front page of your Standard this morning. Front page of the Daily Nation. Ruto out to crush me, says Mutua. I was petrified not only by the threatening words uttered by Dr. Ruto, but also by the intensity of his eyes and angry tone of his voice. Machakos governor says in a statement, which was immediately dismissed by the deputy president's supporters as fictitious and fit for a television show's script. Governor tells police his life is now in danger. And you can see the pictures right on the front page of the persons of interest as far as that's concerned. Also on the front page of the Daily Nation, end of an era as curtains fall on giant Nakumatt. With all efforts to revive the former regional retail giant having failed, Nakumatt has sold its last 6 stores to rival Naivas in a deal that will see the familiar brand completely disappear by the end of the year. End of an era indeed right there. Front page of the Star. What killed Judge Odek? Naked body in bed, blood oozing from left ear, private part, 3 sex tablets in room. The Star leaving nothing to the imagination as far as to what happened right there. Cops broke in after he failed to report to work. That's what the Star's leading with this morning. Front page of the Business Daily. Kenya pays final 2.5 billion shilling for ghost fertilizer plant. Amount paid out this year brings to 6 billion shillings the total country has paid for non-existent Coast Kenren plant. The details of that story can be found in your copy of the Business Daily this morning. I do have my panel fully in place, so there's a lot for us to discuss this morning. Let me reintroduce them. Oliver Karori, political analyst, good morning. Karibu sana. Once again, Mark Bichachi, the man with the glasses, who finds his glasses every single morning.
Yes, because I told you, the biggest challenge,
you need
your glasses to
find your glasses. And of course, Secretary General, Third Way Alliance, Frederick Okango, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
And of course, Executive Director, East Africa Center for Law and Justice, Joy Mdivo, good morning.
Morning, Jeff.
Let's get to this first story. After Governor Mutua went to the police, had his statement, the statement trended like a wildfire. At this particular point, very many people asking, especially with the contents of that particular statement that he gave to the police and the transcript that he gave as to the conversation that took place, Joy. From where you stand, what did you think of what is now going to be a case that probably might go to court? Where does it go from here? Does it just get added security and that's the end of this particular story?
The ingredients, when you're looking at an instance of threatening someone, the ingredients are you do something or you utter words that sufficiently alarming, but there's the added ingredient of the likelihood or the possibility of this coming to pass. So for example, if I look at you, Jeff, and tell you, you know what, I'll slap you very hard across the face. I have told you in a manner that shows you I'm serious, and you know that I have capacity to slap you very hard across the face. But if I told you I'm going to shoot you dead right now, you know very well I've gone through a very elaborate security system. I have no gun on me. So you'll just look at me and smile and laugh. So the second does not really constitute a threat, but the first one is that there's a likelihood that it would happen. So it does constitute a threat. When I looked at Governor Mutua's statement, my first instinct was to laugh. I looked and said, you know what, you're a governor, you're talking about other government officials. Even if they utter such words to you, the likely expectation is that, you know what, yeah, they're not very happy with you. But especially the nature of the words, we are going to fix. I mean, this is politics.
Right.
Fix could mean, you know, I read and I looked at, for you to say that you're petrified and you're quaking in your boots, I found was a little bit of a stretch of an imagination.
Right.
But it's one of those things where the person who's walking in the shoe knows what they saw. We saw William Ruto making similar comments earlier in the year that the matter is still in court. So even for Governor Mutua, I'd like to see how this pans out. End up in court, highly unlikely.
Right.
But I think, well, whatever he wanted to do, he has already done. He's been on the front pages for a day or two.
Right.
Maybe that was the big idea.
And Fred, I'm coming to you because some people are saying that this was just a way to get some political relevance, get himself back in the limelight, because they looked at the statements and nobody could see where the threat exactly was, either from Murkomen or from Duale or from the steely gaze that the DP gave him.
You know, Jeff, we should actually congratulate Governor Mutua because he's actually applying his trade because, you know, he's a well-known movie maker, he's a PR
Spin
person,
doctor.
and he's a spin master. And therefore, when I saw that, I congratulated him because he was applying his trade. But secondly, you also need to understand where he's coming from. In politics, nothing happens by coincidence. They're designed to happen the way they're happening. This is a guy who has been having a lot of problems in Ukambani politics, and particularly Machakos. If you recall, there are other 23 governors that are on the EACC radar, for that matter. I'm not saying he's one of them, but possibilities are there because he has had such cases before. And the best distraction in politics is a death threat, even though you cannot rule out. But I read the statement. I also want to congratulate whoever drafted that statement for him because the wordings are comical. And when you say somebody squeezed your hand so hard, really, and you turned to the next person and immediately you told, then you come out 2 weeks later to record a statement at a police station. When your life is threatened, Jeff, today, you record that statement today in the OB, occurrence book, right. And then you proceed and do other things. Mm-hmm. But you cannot come after 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, Governor Mutua is a politician, and I can also relate it very well with what Mudama said the other day, the pronouncement of the Kamba people forming now a hustler nation. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it keenly, it is about using the DP's name to fight his political wars in Ukambani. Because he has always positioned himself as now the new Kamba kingpin. You remember the Kibra by-election, right. All those things. So for him to appear on these front pages, he must be very comical. He must be dramatic. And that was one of the drama. And I can tell you, wait for more drama. Mm-hmm. Because you remember the cinema issues in Ukambani where Ferrari, and when he appears in public, he makes you believe that actually a stone can be eaten as bread, and you believe it. That is Governor Mutua for you.
Mark, we're looking at a scenario where it seems like Deputy President Ruto is becoming more and more the boogeyman. If you want to get some political relevance, throw a stone at the DP because everybody wants to take a shot at him. Is this what was going on here?
You know, the truth is, ever since Lamada, there's nothing that's laughable in this country anymore. We need to remember that Jacob Juma sang like a bird before he was gunned down somewhere in Karen. So these death threats are not something that you take lightly in this country because people have actually died. Now, of course, the literal truth is this, that what Alfred Mutua did seems very comical and very suspicious, given the fact that he's talking about it 2 weeks later, but maybe he was scared for 2 weeks. I would be very careful to not overindulge on this particular topic. Because if it was someone who I did not know for too much drama, I would take it a bit more seriously, but Mutua he's got too many jokes to be taken seriously, but then what he's claiming is also quite serious that if you took it lightly and then something did happen to him, that you'd need to be a bit cautious. We need to tread this very carefully and not to apportion blame to the DP and not to apportion blame to Mutua too fast before all the facts are in. And let's remember that people can quake in their boots for whatever reason. Okay, you can quake in your boots because you feel like your hand was squeezed too tightly. It's within your realm of panic. You understand? But for me, this one I don't want to touch with the 6-foot pole. because it can go either way. So I don't want to touch this one.
And Oliver, even as you talk about that, because the allegations that Governor Mutua is making are very grave. And we've heard politicians say this before: my life is in danger, I've been threatened, there are people following me. And it gets to a point where we almost think that they're just using that for public sentiment to get some sympathy out there. And we're getting to a point where people won't take it seriously anymore. Do you feel that's an issue? People are misusing these threats to life just to get a front page in a paper?
Jeff, coming from the Cobra Squad producer or director, anything is possible. And again, knowing how our politicians at times do things, we have casualized serious issues to the extent that at times when they say some of these things, you wonder, are they coming from an alternative planet? For example, when you read the transcript by Mutua of the events that happened, you wonder, really, is this how our leaders can be casual at times with issues? Two, if I press your hand, is that a sign that I want to kill you? Because at times we need to be more serious. From where I sit, I think this is the matter, the allegations are serious. Let us differentiate the two. But now the comedy part is what we must now address. Two, for the longest time, Mutua has been opening roads which can be blown by wind, calling them tarmac and all manner of things, and telling us there will be a Ferrari, everything. He's one of the people or one of the leaders who have never been held accountable to what they say in public. He's among the people who talk about going to Jerusalem, but he has not left Judea where he's sitting. So we need to ask ourselves, if this man, this is his track, this is what he has been doing, can we trust him going to the future? Thirdly, the issue of putting in context what Muthama said. That is what maybe triggered whatever Mutua is talking about. Because we are in a succession period and where the 2022 issues are being discussed on the table. And whenever you feel like the pack has left you, you must try to do everything to their boots so that at least the discussion rotates around you.
Right.
And also the fourth thing that I would not like to downplay, you never know what is about to happen. Remember what Sonko used to tell us? There used to be a lot of drama. When Sonko was arrested, we finally realized this drama was just a smoke screen. Maybe there is something the public is being denied from looking deeper by just being told there is somebody doing this and that. Because all this, is it how this is to be handled?
Right.
Because we have been told more times than we can recall that a politician's life is in danger, what is happening. And when you see the politician walking around, he walks with a police station. He walks with 7 policemen around him. Right. So you wonder who is threatening this life politician. And the other thing also which we need to ask ourselves, if this was a serious issue, why wasn't it taken from wherever it happened? It happened in State House. Jeff's State House is not a Kibanda, a Mutura Kibanda somewhere. No. State House is where the seat of power of this country is. Is this how we have trivialized some of these institutions? State House is part and parcel of the picture that portrays the presidency in this country. Okay. You want to tell me from that point there was no other mechanisms of dispute resolution apart from a police station 2 weeks later? I think Mutua is just giving us early Christmas jokes so that we run away from the hard BBI and other things.
Okay,
those are diversionary.
We'll be following this story and see if there's any development to it. Of course, the police will have to investigate that particular issue, so we'll be keeping a keen eye on that story as well. But also on the PD, on page 7, it's all about the plans to impeach Sonko. This splitting city MCAs, there's supposed to be a special sitting for that today. And the big question is, very many people are asking, Fred, let me come to you. Do you think the Assembly has a spine to do this? Because we've seen how they've conducted business on the best of days. At such a time, do you think this is the time they'll come together?
It's very convoluted, very convoluted. But I think we need to be concerned as Kenyans who love this country, and more so as the people who stay in this great city of Nairobi. We need to be concerned of what is happening at City Hall. Because you remember, while Governor Sonko has got inalienable rights under Article 50, is, of course, perceived to be innocent till proven on the contrary. The services that the common person or the resident of Nairobi should be getting
are not pegged on anything. They should come irrespective. But here is a case where we don't have leadership. We don't have leadership in the county assembly, substantive leadership. We don't have leadership in the executive. And therefore, for me, I think by the fact that you have seen the division among the MCAs, it means that there are people who are pulling these strings. And you know, in politics, especially in a county government like Nairobi, that the nerve center of Kenyan politics, you can actually see the strings that are pulled from all political sides, from ODM, from Jubilee, from whatever. And those strings are powerful strings. They're not going to break any time. I see a situation, and I've said this severally, that so that the people of Nairobi can continue to get or enjoy the services that must be offered by the county government of Nairobi, then it is important for the President of the Republic of Kenya today. He only have two options. Option number one, that will take a bit of time, is to dissolve that county government. But there must be an inquiry, a commission of inquiry in place. Then the Senate must be very bold and approve that. Number two, the MCAs, some of them have come out as very bold. They should go ahead. They are very solid grounds. Because while the case is in court, but they are solid grounds of impeachment. And they should go should go ahead and do that in accordance with Article 181 as read together with Section 33 of County Government Act. They should do that. Remember, while they are politicking on this issue of who supports who and who is not supporting who, there are services, mandatory services that are lacking. Today you get out of this city. There are issues that will require executive order. There are issues that require the governor to append his signature. They are not going to happen. And while that is happening, the issues of politicization of these issues going on, we are not going to move. I say the state of Nairobi County Assembly, the MCAs, in my honest view, if they don't think about the electorate that put them into office, they will not do any impeachment. They will not.
Okay.
But they'll buy time hoping that something good will happen.
Joe, let me come to you on this, because even if he survives the impeachment that might happen if they have their sitting today, there's a case awaiting him tomorrow in Voi for assault charges. Does he get out of this one? Because it seems like there's a hurdle after hurdle after hurdle for Governor Sonko on this. How does he get out of this alive and go back to probably running the county until 2022?
After party after party, now you go to hurdle after hurdle. The thing with Governor Sonko is that as much as all of us can see glaring grounds for why he should be impeached, I would be very surprised if he was impeached. He's the type of person who has had an iron grip over the people who serve with him, and is also the vindictive type. If you go ahead and try an impeachment motion and then it does not work, and he comes out of this alive, you will rue the day that you dared to stand against him. And it's one of those things where you would think that Jubilee as a party would think that this is the time to step up and whip our members and save the face of the party, because he is a Jubilee governor. But again, vested interest, like we saw when he went to court, already there are those in the Jubilee party who have stepped up to defend him. So it tells you, even if the impeachment motion passes in the House today, in the County Assembly, when it goes to the Senate, chances of success are not very high. So the quickest way to deal with the Nairobi situation would be an impeachment motion, an election, and this thing is over and done with. But is that likely to happen? Highly unlikely, and I don't think Kenyans should hold their breath waiting for that.
Right.
Our best case scenario right now would be for the governor, as he fights his wars, to be impressed upon to do what he's supposed to do with Nairobi County. Fill up all his CEC posts, to get back to get on board a substantive deputy, and let Nairobi County run. Because, okay, I don't know which services Fred imagines that will stall because the governor is not there. Because as chief executive, and Sonko, as it were, has been operating a lot more from his Upper Hill base and his Machakos home than he has from City Hall anyway. So even if you bar him from the offices, there's nothing you're doing.
Right.
Most of his operations actually happen outside the office. So I don't see anything in Nairobi, quote unquote, stalling because the governor is not substantially in office. But at the same time, what you've said about Voi might be the shortcut that we're sort of waiting for. Because if the assault case in Voi goes on, which is a much easier case to deal with than all of his other complicated cases. And according to the law, if you're facing any peril of more than 6 months imprisonment, then that puts you in direct line of having to be removed from office forcibly. Then that might be just the silver bullet that we're waiting for.
Okay.
So is it impeachment? I don't think so.
Okay, we're going to take a
It
short
might
break
be
on
that
particular
little
one.
assault case.
We'll see what happens, of course, because if that's a silver bullet, then all eyes, of course, will be in Voi tomorrow as that takes place. We're going to take a short break. When you come back, of course, discuss this, but also the Council of Governors stand in terms of barring governors from office and why that needs to be challenged. Is the fight on corruption losing its strength, its legs? We talk about that after the break. This is K24 This Morning.